So David Kaplan, I mean, we talk all the time. He's Mr. Chicago sports. I mean, look, there are a lot of us around here that, in my case, used to be semi-big league operator. My dad is still a big league operator. But this guy has been a big league operator forever, so much so that he joins our program for the second time, moments after signing off his radio show in the Windy City, and he joins us in his car, David Kaplan. Capman, how are you, my man?
My guy, I've got the Chicago River right here. I tried to give you a great shot of the greatest city in the world, and for whatever reason, my Bluetooth wouldn't pick up, so I had to get in the car. I just want you to know what's like right here, Tommy. The greatest city in the world, baby. That's right, and you're going to get the wrath of the Cubbies coming your way.
Well, I got to tell you, well, then again, knowing you the way I know you, you're probably in cahoots with Lori Lightfoot. I thought maybe she had shut down, your Bluetooth or whatever it might be. So
wow.
we'll save that for another day, as she is no longer running the greatest city in America, Chicago. Now, look,
God.
we like playing this game of where you been, where are you now, where are you going, okay? So let's start before the season ever begins. I know you felt very good about this Cubs team and at least moving forward after getting through the years of no more Rizzo, no more Baez, no more Lester, no more all those guys, right? Coming into the year, your expectation of your Chicago Cubs are or is?
82 wins, like 82 and 80, 83 and 79, and headed in the right direction, unlike some club that likes to eat Skyline chili and reside among the ne'er-do-wells in the NL Central. What you guys have done, or what they have done to the once proud Reds franchise, is embarrassing.
You're getting no argument out of me. And don't say you guys. I have, as my old friend Bob Brenly used to say, I have no fingerprints on this mess. N-U-N none. All right, so the Cubbies, I mean, strengths of the team. For people who are just now sort of getting into baseball, okay, and there are a lot of appealing things about the rules changes that I think are going to make it a more appealing game to a lot of fans. Games are moving quicker, a lot quicker. Pace of play's moving. There's some things happening, some positive momentum for a change for baseball. You look at the Cubs, and the reason you think they're a slightly plus 500 team, at least on paper, the strength of the team resides where?
Starting pitching and defense. I think we have really good starting pitching and outstanding defense. You have a Gold Glove finalist in Nico Horner at second. You have a Gold Glove winner in Dansby Swanson at shortstop. You have a Gold Glove winner in left field. A former Gold Glove winner in center field in Cody Bellinger. A former Gold Glove catcher in Tucker Barnhart, who's not a great offensive player. I'll be the first to admit that, a former Red. Another solid defender in Yan Gomes. A former Gold Glove winner in Eric Hosmer. So we have got some really good defensive players. Marcus Stroman was simply magnificent on opening day. You got great starting pitching, 6 shutout out of Justin Steele. On Saturday, Tyone gave you 4 okay innings, 3 runs in 4 innings. And then some guy I never heard of, and I cover the damn team, Merriweather, gave up 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning. That guy needs to pack his bags and go back to Iowa. He was horrible.
You're already shipping guys out 1 game into a season? I mean, you'd want to ship out Hunter Green out of Cincinnati for crying out loud.
Hunter Green throws 111 miles an hour and was a highly regarded prospect. This dude, Merriweather, I never heard of, and I covered the team. No, that was awful. What he did was awful.
All right, you got Drew Smiley, who's had his moments, certainly in the big leagues, who's getting the ball tonight against Connor Overton. Let's start with your just completed weekend. You gave us some of the highlights outside of Mr. Merriweather. But the bottom line is your Cubbies lose 2 out of 3 to the Craig Counsels of Milwaukee.
Okay, we got 2 homers out of Patrick Wisdom yesterday. This dude's going to hit 25 to 30 bombs this year and strike out 974 times. Good dude, plays hard. He's not your long-term answer at any position on the diamond. Solid, okay, fine. Dansby Swanson, 7 hits through the first 3 games. So it shows you that his 4 for $1 billion in spring trading really didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. I like what we're doing defensively. I like what our starting pitching looked like in large part. Just not real fired up about what I saw from our bullpen. Javier Assad pitched on Saturday and gave it up in his second inning of work. Cubs lose. They had a 1-0 lead in the 8th, lose 3-1. So we've got to be better offensively, and I hope we go into Cincinnati and paddle the Reds very effectively.
Well, you know, you look at some of these pitching matchups, and I mentioned Smiley tonight. He'll be opposed by Connor Overton. Help me with Hayden's last name, who's pitching tomorrow.
Hayden Wisniewski, and you better understand, my friend Tom, that's probably a guy who's going to be on some National League Rookie of the Year ballots. This kid is a beast. I'm telling you what, we may not be able to develop our own pitching. We're getting better at that. But when they traded Scott Efros last year at the deadline with 5 years of control, Jed Hoyer said, you want him? 4 teams in the AL East, he told me the other day. 4 teams in the AL East are bidding to get Efros, who's a really good reliever. Unfortunately, blew his elbow out after the Yankees made the deal. He said, here's the cost. I want that guy. And they gave him to us. And Hayden Wisniewski finished last year in our rotation.
Yep.
He broke camp in our rotation. You're going to get a dose of Hayden Wisniewski tomorrow.
Look, at the end of the day, the Cubbies are one of the most highly valued franchises in all of professional sports. The owner, Mr. Ricketts, went out, spent a lot of money. He did what no owner has ever done, going all the way back to 1908, and that's win a World Series for the Chicago Cubs. He brought in a lot of big-time free agents. They also developed a lot of big-time players. Those days are long gone. How do Cub fans look at this, at the ownership and the franchise, knowing it's a franchise that, at least as far as the kind of money it makes, is not spending a ton of money?
So I'm speaking to you now as a fan, then I'll give you my professional perspective. As a fan, I like Thom very much. Like it. He gave me the greatest sports moment of my life. The Cubs could win the next 15 World Series, and if the good Lord willing, I'm alive for all of them, it would never top November 2nd, 2016, when they ended 108 years of idiocy, as I like to call it. It was insane. And to be there that night in Cleveland and to look up at my late father and go, Dad, we did it. It was unbelievable. But that said, Tom, to have to go through a rebuild of this magnitude twice in a decade with the revenues that the Cubs have is unconscionable. I know there was a pandemic. I know they lost, well north of $100 million. But guess what? Your franchise is worth $5 billion or $4.8 billion. You tighten your belt a little bit, but to go into the fetal position to the degree that they did, I thought was unconscionable. That's me, the fan. Me, the professional, will tell you they offered Chris Bryant a massive extension after the World Series. He said no, his right. He now plays for Colorado. Anthony Rizzo got offered $70+ million as an extension. He said no. They traded him to the Yankees. They offered Javi Baez a big extension, and Wilson Contreras and Addison Russ. All these dudes, except for Kyle Hendricks, said thank you, but no thank you. They were feeling their oats as members of the Chicago Cubs, world champs. They're young. I think if they could go back in time, they might have taken some of those extension offers. So I understand why the Cubs did what they did. I just don't think in this market with those revenues, and you know them as well as anybody, that Wrigley fan base is rabid. They spend money.
Yep. You
should never go through a full-scale rebuild twice in 10 years.
All right, last thing. Last 2 things. Number one, would you care to place a little 2 out of 3 wager on this 3-game series where if the Reds win 2 out of 3 or win the series, that, you buy me dinner at, say, Jeff Ruby's new joint downtown. And if the Cubbies win a series, I buy you dinner at, you pick the spot, you know the town much better than I do, and I take you out to dinner. Would you care to make that kind of wager, yay or nay?
I absolutely would, but I got a better wager for you. How about I ship you, it's called Tastes of Chicago, Lou Malnati's deep dish pizza, so that your family can partake. And I'll put some other goodies in there, Eli's cheesecake and Vienna hot dogs, and I'll ship all that to your house, but I don't think that's going to happen. And you got to ship me a case of Grater's ice cream because I don't want any of that Skyline chili.
You got a deal. We're on. All I want is a Lou Malnati's pizza. I don't want anything else. I don't want the cheesecake. I don't want any of it. I just want you just want Grater's, and I just want Lou Malnati's.
You got yourself a done deal. Bring it on.
All right, last thing before we let you go. We want to get you back for another time, if you would, to really get in depth on the Bears. What do you think they're doing draft day?
I think they'd like to trade down again from 9 and get themselves in the top 15, but get more draft capital. Look, I'm laughing at all the people that are betting the Bears to win the division. It's a bad football team right now. They got 10 draft picks. They have not addressed their defensive line. They still need a right tackle. Their wide receiver room is fine. It's better. DJ Moore's a nice player. They're treating it like we got Lynn Swann, Jerry Rice, and John Taylor all in the same room in this town. And you know me, I never get out over my skis. I'm telling you, this team is still dead last in the division.
All right. That's a Cap, man. Cap, you must have one of those, I talked about being a big league operator. I mean, you've been sitting in that same spot overlooking the river, which tells me the cops aren't going to come bother you. It's kind of like, if you're carjacking somebody in Chicago, the cops don't bother those guys either. So, I mean, maybe you can just sit right there and do whatever it is you want to do.
Well, I try to stay out of the politics on radio. I'm just hoping tomorrow's a better day in our city when the election is held.
All right. Well, get out there and vote, because I know you will.
100%.
All right. Cap, man, thanks for your time, brother. All the best.
Love
Godspeed
you.
ahead.
Best of Marty Brennaman. Best of Marty.
I was with the old boy last night.
That dude's the best, man. I love that guy. I had him in my studio. He walked from the hotel, came in my studio, and did an hour with me, and it was the most enjoyable hour I've done in years.
Yeah, well, he can do that to you. He can definitely do that.
The best.
Unless you're his son. And then he's on your ass 24/7. Outside of that, all's cool with the world. All right, Cap, man, have a great rest of your day, buddy.
I look forward to seeing you.
Okay, pal. David Kaplan, kind enough to join us from Chicago. Big league operator, Kaplan.